Matt Frei on LBC. Listen on your smart speaker now. Just say, play LBC.
Okay, it's that time when we go to Washington, to Simon Marks. He's looking very awake at 7:40 in the morning, 7:50 in the morning. It's great to have you on.
I've had a lie-in. You've given me an extra hour.
I know. And of course, because it's a 4-hour time difference this week. Oh, and no wonder.
4-hour time difference.
No wonder. Well, it's great to have you, as ever. Look, lots of stuff to get through. U.S. Embassy in Baghdad attacked by Iranian drones. Tell us about that. How bad was that?
Well, we're still waiting to understand exactly how bad it was, Matt, but certainly this was an attack on the American embassy in Baghdad, and one of several U.S. diplomatic facilities, of course, that have been close to the action as Iran has hit out over the U.S. and Israeli war on its country. I mean, the United States evacuated several of these embassies of crucial diplomatic staff some time ago, although not all of them. The embassy in Riyadh in Saudi Arabia was only evacuated on about day 4 of the war. And the fact that the Iranians are still able to, it would seem, launch missiles or projectiles that are able, in this case, of reaching the US embassy in Baghdad, causing at least some kind of fire, because there was smoke being seen rising from the compound, adds to questions about the extent to which Russia might be providing Iran with targeting information. Now, those reports, which are widely sourced, have been completely brushed off by the Trump administration as something that absolutely doesn't even matter. Indeed, the president became irate a few days ago with the White House correspondent from Fox News, raising what the United States is going to do about Russian intelligence being furnished to the Iranians. And not only does it not seem to bother the Trump administration, once again completely beguiled by Vladimir Putin, but they've even allowed Russia to sell its oil now on world markets. They've relaxed the US sanctions in place on Russian oil in a desperate bid to kind of drive the price of oil down. Now, we don't know if on this occasion the Russians, of course, assisted the Iranians with that targeting information, but it certainly is pretty extraordinary that 2 weeks into the war, the much depleted, much vaunted success in reducing Iran's capacity to fire missiles and launch drones, according to Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, still allows them to hit the US embassy in Baghdad.
So Donald Trump is doing many of the things that he said he would never do, like, go to war, on a kind of world tour that started with Nigeria, went on to Venezuela, oil blockade against Cuba, now Iran. And he's not doing the thing that he was elected on a promise to deal with, which is inflation, which presumably is getting worse with the price of oil going up and the price of the gas pump going up as well. Does the American public in general, and his MAGA base in particular, give him a long rein on this, or the opposite?
I think the opposite. The longer this goes on, the more domestic difficulty the president is going to be in. Just take a look at the cost of energy. The national average price of diesel is now at $4.92 a gallon, and by the end of the weekend it's projected to rise above $5 a gallon for diesel. We have seen once again petrol prices all over the country rise by another 40 cents a gallon over the last week. So they're up basically $1, slightly north of $1 per gallon since this conflict began. Air travel, the costs of that going through the roof at the moment because of the rising costs of jet fuel. And this is not only going directly to feed inflation in the United States and mitigate against all of those Federal Reserve interest rate cuts that he wants to see, but it's also hitting Americans in their pockets. And that's before you get to the rising death toll for American service personnel. Another 6, of course, died yesterday in that refueling plane crash in Iraq. And the fact that the president still cannot explain what the plan is for the end of this war, why it started in the first place. But, you know, this is the president who said he will be guided by his own morality, not by, I don't need international law, I'll be guided by my own morality. And yesterday told an interviewer that this war will end when in his words, I feel it in my bones. I mean, what sort of a strategy is that when you are placing the lives of American service personnel on the line every single day?
Well, the bones is not quite as sophisticated as reading chicken's entrails, but it's kind of roughly in the same ballpark figure. Now, the other thing I find remarkable is that the usually very chatty and voluble Vice President, J.D. Vance, has gone into a witness protection program on this. And even Mark Rubio, we've heard very little from. Who we are hearing a lot from is that the man I call the kinetic Ken to someone else's Barbie, and that would be the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth.
I refer to him, yes, I call him the performing seal, because it is a performance every day, and it's a performance really designed for an audience of one man. I mean, Trump has said within the last 2 weeks he loves the job that Hegseth is doing. He loves the job that General Dan Kane, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, is doing. Why? Because they look as though they have come out of central casting. His words.
Wow.
I mean, that's what he's looking for.
That's amazing.
He said it, yeah. That's what he's looking for in his top officials. Now, J.D. Vance is in a bind because you don't have to do a lot of research to find interviews as recently as the 2024 election campaign, when J.D. Vance was saying to the American public, no, don't worry, we're not going to go in militarily to Iran. We shouldn't go in militarily against Iran. It's one of those conflicts, like Ukraine, he argued, that should be left to America's regional allies. This was for the Saudis to sort out, the Qataris to sort out, the Omanis to sort out. This was oceans away, nothing to do with the United States. Why would we put the lives of our service personnel at risk there? And now, of course, he's got to be the loyal soldier and support military action that he plainly, privately opposes and indeed warned the president against. His advice to the president was, if you are going to do this, go big and go fast.
Yeah, but they did go big and they did go fast, and didn't make, well, it made some difference, but not the difference.
Yeah, well, they didn't go, I mean, I would imagine from J.D. Vance's perspective, 2 weeks in, he would argue they didn't go big enough and fast enough. But he's definitely in political difficulty over this. Marco Rubio, of course, is saddled with being the Secretary of State, who's having to deal with all of these calls, not just from the country's allies in the region, but from governments all over Europe, from governments all over Asia, a region that is directly impacted by any closure of the Strait of Hormuz. And so this is a mess for both of them, and certainly in the case of J.D. Vance, something that he absolutely couched against.
And, of course, he may also have his eye on the big job, as in the Oval Office, the presidency, and therefore he probably knows, being politically savvy and very transactional, that if he's on the wrong side of this conflict, too overtly, it will be held against him.
Yeah, and he's got to box clever, because no one can tell from where things currently stand how this is going to end up. I mean, it is still possible that there is regime collapse, although 2 weeks in, that continues to look unlikely. But it is also possible that there is some sort of terrible event that results in larger numbers of casualties among American service personnel in the region. And also, we're now having to face the prospect of domestic terror attacks on the American homeland. President Trump has conceded publicly over the last few days that there are Iranian terror sleeper cells living in the United States, in his telling. I mean, at one point he said, we're watching them, but seconds later he said, but of course we can't because of the partial government shutdown and the cuts to the Department of Homeland Security, so we've really got to get that DHS funding through by the Democrats in order to make sure that we can fully protect the homeland. And I think that there is grave concern about the possibility of those kinds of reprisals, whether it's short, medium or long term, for the United States arising out of this action.
We're talking very much, always understandably, about Trump's revolution abroad. What about the revolution at home, briefly, in the US, when it comes to ICE, when it comes to, the courts, the Supreme Court, tariffs, etc.? How's that going for Donald Trump?
Yeah, well, I mean, ICE, of course, is at the centre of this partial government shutdown because the Democrats say they're not going to agree to any funding mechanism that fully funds ICE. They've got a problem because if there are terror incidents or a growing threat of them here, that's going to put political pressure on them to cave. I mean, the most extraordinary thing about Donald Trump's domestic situation is that we were told right after Davos by the White House, that's it for foreign travel. That's it for foreign adventurism. The focus now is going to be laser-like on the midterms. He's going to be getting out into all over the country, attending rallies everywhere, trying to boost the electoral prospects of Republican candidates. What have we seen? A complete focus on the Middle East. And that is baffling.
Simon Marks in Washington, thanks very much.